The grand chamber of the Galactic Council on Verelion Prime was a cathedral of polished metals and swirling holograms, suspended in the vastness of space. Species from every corner of the galaxy sat in their assigned places, some towering, some small, some with too many limbs to count, others adorned in shimmering scales or translucent skin glowing softly in the ambient light. At the center sat the council speaker, a massive crystalline entity known as the Korlath, whose many facets shimmered with an inner light as it addressed the assembly in a voice both melodic and commanding. Esteemed representatives, we gather to preserve peace and order in these turbulent times, the Korlath intoned, its gaze briefly flicking to Ambassador Elena Voss. The humans were among the youngest members of the council, their rapid rise a subject of both admiration and suspicion. Elena sat straight in her chair, a calm figure in her tailored uniform, a muted gray that contrasted with the more flamboyant attires of the others. Her eyes scanned the room, noting the subtle glances exchanged whenever humanity's name came up. They were seen as newcomers, idealistic, perhaps naive, polite, easy to dismiss. The debate today centered on a minor dispute between the Zarthak Dominion and the Velrith Alliance over mining rights on a contested moon. The usual posturing and heated exchanges filled the chamber, but Elena said nothing. Diplomacy was her weapon, patience her armor. She listened carefully as a Velrith envoy, Serpentine, his scales glinting, vehemently accused the Zarthak of aggression. The Zarthak representative, a hulking figure covered in armored plating, snarled back with accusations of Velrith espionage. The council's procedural moderators intervened, calling for calm and order, their voices echoing in the vast space. Elena nodded silently, but her mind was elsewhere. She was not here merely to watch petty squabbles. Mid-session, the comm unit at her wrist buzzed faintly. She glanced down discreetly. A coded message blinked on the screen, urgent, encrypted, unmistakably from Earth's unified command. Lighton 4 colony, distress signal received. Full-scale attack underway. Repeat, full-scale attack underway. Elena's expression tightened, but she remained composed. No one else seemed to notice. Her fingers brushed the edge of the console, initiating a private secure transmission. Earth Command, this is Ambassador Voss, she whispered, eyes fixed on the holographic debate unfolding. Before her, confirm status. A crackling voice responded, tense but steady. Confirmed. Colony under siege by unknown forces. Multiple casualties reported. Incoming data suggests involvement of Nalu Syndicate-affiliated pirates. The Council is slow to respond. We advise patience, but preparations are underway. Elena swallowed, her diplomatic mask slipping for a brief second. The Council had always valued calm, measured responses, but sometimes calm was mistaken for weakness. She scanned the chamber again. The alien representatives debated loudly, oblivious, or willfully ignoring the gravity of the news. The humans were expected to stay silent, to wait for consensus, to trust the bureaucracy. But humanity had learned the hard way that peace was a fragile thing. Her comm buzzed again. This time, a quick clip of the colony's final moments, a garbled distress call, shouted warnings, the sounds of panic and laser fire. Elena's jaw clenched. Ladies and gentlemen, she stood, voice steady but carrying an undercurrent of steel. The room hushed immediately, all eyes turning. We have just received news that the Lighton 4 colony, a settlement of our people and an integral part of this galaxy's community, has been attacked. Its survivors are few. The perpetrators have links to the Nalu Syndicate, a council member, known for operating beyond these halls' rules. A murmur spread through the assembly. We call for immediate investigation and accountability, Elena continued, her eyes scanning every face, daring anyone to dismiss the claim. The Korlath's crystalline facets flickered softly. Ambassador Voss, your grief is understood. However, the Council requires evidence, patience, and due process. We cannot let emotion govern interstellar relations. Elena nodded, acknowledging the protocol. Yet beneath her calm exterior, her mind raced. She had come to this council believing in diplomacy. But the galaxy was learning the wrong lesson. That politeness meant passivity. As the meeting resumed, the message from Earth came again, a simple phrase flashing across her console. Polite mode. Off. Elena swallowed hard, the chamber's noise fading as a storm of decision began to gather behind her steady gaze. The council had never forgotten that day. Neither would she. The signal came through fragmented and weak, but it was unmistakable. A desperate, crackling broadcast from Leuten 4, humanity's distant colony on the fringe of the outer spiral. The transmission had been intercepted by a routine monitoring station near Verelion Prime, where the Galactic Council's intelligence network quietly logged every whisper in space. Back on Earth, in the dimly lit command center beneath the surface of Luna Station, Admiral Kira Salim watched the feed with clenched fists. The image flickered to life, blurry, grainy. A young woman, her face streaked with dirt and fear, appeared on screen. Behind her, flashes of laser fire and distant explosions painted the sky blood red. Buildings crumbled. Smoke billowed. "This is Dr. Mara Lin, Leuten 4 medical officer," the voice crackled. "Pirate forces overwhelming colony defenses. Civilians, evacuate to Sector 6. Repeat, Sector 6. Nalu Syndicate mercenaries leading the assault. Send help. Please, send help." Her voice broke. Then the feed cut out with a final shattering sound. An explosion too close, too sudden. Kira stared at the static for a long moment, the silence pressing in. "This is no random raid," she said, voice low but unwavering. "It's an execution." Across the galaxy, Ambassador Elena Voss sat in her quarters aboard Verelion Prime, replaying the same footage. The polite veneer she wore at the council was gone here, replaced by the raw ache of loss and the cold fire of resolve. She thought of the thousands of lives snuffed out in the blink of an eye, the scientists, engineers, farmers, children, all human, all innocent. And she thought of the silence from the council. Days passed, and the council's official response remained muted. Formal condolences were issued, protocols for investigation were announced, but action was slow, almost indifferent. Voss's pleas for urgency were met with calls for restraint and due process. To the other species, humanity's suffering seemed a distant inconvenience. To Elena, it was a wound that demanded more than words. She attended the next council session with the weight of 1,000 silent screams pressing down on her. When the Nalu Syndicate's representative, a lithe figure wrapped in layered shadows, spoke, his words dripped with practiced innocence. "We categorically deny involvement in the Leuten 4 incident," he declared, voice smooth. "These allegations are baseless and politically motivated." A ripple of agreement passed through some factions, especially those with vested interests in keeping the peace, at any cost. Voss stood slowly, commanding the room's attention. "Denial is easy when no one is watching," she said, voice firm, but controlled. "But the evidence will surface, and when it does, the truth will demand justice." She held their gazes. "We came to the council for partnership and protection, not silence and dismissal. If we are to coexist, then no species is beyond reproach." The chamber hummed with unease. For the first time, some eyes looked upon humanity, not with quiet pity, but with something like fear. Back on Earth, preparations were already underway. The peaceful facade had cracked. In the shadows of Luna Station's war rooms, the Unified Command's top strategists worked tirelessly. New weapon systems were tested, stealth fleets trained, and autonomous drones programmed for rapid deployment. Every resource was focused on one goal: protect humanity wherever it was found. Elsewhere, whispers spread through the underworld. The Nalu Syndicate's reach had been exposed. Pirate fleets grew restless, sensing the rising storm. Some speculated humanity would strike back with a fury no one had anticipated. On Verelion Prime, Elena received another encrypted transmission late one night. The sender was unknown. The message was simple, chilling. Polite mode, off. Her eyes narrowed. This was no idle threat. It was a promise. That promise was echoed in the silent halls of Earth's military command, where leaders prepared to rewrite the rules of engagement, because humanity's patience had limits, and the galaxy was about to find out what happened when polite humans stopped being polite. For 3 long months the galaxy watched. Humanity said nothing. The Council issued its bland statements of concern and endless promises to investigate. Trade routes remained open. Humans continued attending diplomatic sessions with their usual quiet grace as if nothing had happened. Many saw it as acceptance, proof that the humans were no threat, that beneath their polite veneer lurked weakness. But on Earth, the truth was far different. In the hidden bunkers beneath the surface of Luna Station, the unified command was anything but idle. Admiral Kira Salim paced in front of the massive holomap of the outer spiral. Star systems blinked in and out of view, human colonies, vital trade hubs, and, lurking at the edges, the pirate strongholds linked to the Nalu Syndicate. "Status report," she ordered. A young officer tapped a console. "Stealth drone prototypes are operational, Admiral. Tests confirm they can evade the most advanced detection grids. We've also developed AI piloting capable of autonomous deep space operations with zero human oversight." Kira nodded grimly. "And the Janus fleet?" "Built and waiting in the orbital docks around Mars," the officer said. "They're smaller, faster, designed for surgical strikes. No heavy armaments, but precision targeting systems that can cripple a ship before it knows it's under attack." Kira's gaze hardened. "We've waited long enough. The Council's empty words are meaningless. Our people died while they debated." At her side, Elena Voss reviewed incoming intelligence feeds. Every report showed the slow erosion of human presence in contested sectors, trade caravans delayed or rerouted, colonies growing isolated by fear. Yet none of the attackers had been caught. "We cannot afford to be caught unprepared again," Elena said quietly. "If we don't act, our enemies will grow bolder." Kira turned to her. "Then we strike, first. But it has to be clean, surgical, precise. No collateral damage, no mess." Elena nodded. "We learned from our enemies. Their strength lies in chaos. We will use order." As the command center hummed with activity, a sudden alarm pierced the calm. A secure transmission flooded the room. A rogue faction within the human colonies had intercepted classified schematics of the Janus fleet. A leak. Kira slammed her fist on the table. "How? Who?" The officer shook his head. "Unknown. But the information is spreading fast. If the Syndicate gets their hands on this, it could be disastrous." Elena's eyes flashed. "Then we accelerate. We move before they can react." Orders were given. Stealth fleets slipped out of the shadows of Mars orbit under cover of darkness. Silent drones slipped past enemy scanners, sowing confusion and gathering intel. The Council's members remained blissfully unaware of the storm brewing beneath their noses, yet whispers began to circulate. Reports from pirate convoys told tales of ships disappearing without a trace, silent attacks leaving no survivors, no wreckage, just cold emptiness where once fleets had roamed freely. In the darkest corners of the galaxy, fear began to take root. At a hidden base near the Nalu homeworld, Tharkoon, a grizzled pirate commander, stared at the empty space where his flagship once sat. "They've changed," he growled. "These humans, they don't fight like us. They don't even seem to fight at all. They strike, and then vanish." His lieutenant nodded grimly. "Something new is coming, something worse." Back in the council chambers, Ambassador Voss prepared to return. The calm diplomat of old was gone, replaced by a quiet resolve forged in fire and loss. As she boarded her ship, her comm unit blinked again. A single message, terse and unmistakable. Polite mode. Off. The night sky above Tharkoon was a canvas of stars, silent, cold, indifferent. But beneath that serene veneer, the Nalu homeworld pulsed with a restless energy. On the surface, sprawling cities gleamed with bioluminescent towers and humming energy grids, while in orbit, the formidable Nalu defense array kept watch over, their territory like a serpent coiled to strike. Yet on this night, none of it mattered. At precisely 0327 Galactic Standard Time, every Nalu military installation went dark. One by one, planets across the system lost power. The orbital weapons platforms fell silent. Shields dropped like invisible curtains. Communications blacked out. From Earth's command center, Admiral Kira Salim watched the feeds with an icy calm. "This is it," she murmured. "The Janus Protocol begins." Unseen and unheard, sleek black drones slipped through the gaps in the Nalu's defenses. Small, agile, almost ghost-like. Their hulls absorbed radar and light, and their AI pilots coordinated with ruthless precision. Inside the largest military base on Tharkun's northern continent, alarms blared a sudden warning. "Multiple breaches detected," came the voice of an automated system. "Activating emergency lockdown." But the lockdown never completed. Drones poured into the base, slicing through energy barriers with concentrated plasma blades. No shots were fired. No missiles launched. Only swift surgical strikes aimed to disable, not destroy. Entire command centers were neutralized within minutes. Sensors recorded no casualties. Only silence. On the surface, panic erupted. "Commander." Vectar, a seasoned Nalu officer, sprinted through the labyrinthine corridors, barking orders into his comlink. "Activate countermeasures. Deploy interceptor squads. Target the intruders." But his voice was drowned by the eerie quiet outside. The drones moved faster than any interceptor could catch, neutralizing each squad before they could react. Vectar reached the central command tower, only to find the core cold, lifeless. His comlink fizzled out. His last transmission was a whispered curse. They came, like ghosts. Far above, in orbit, the orbital defense grid blinked out. Ships powered down one after another, falling lifeless like stars extinguished in a vast void. Admiral Kira watched the reports coming in. "Complete system shutdown within 7 minutes," she said quietly. "No survivors in military ranks. Civilian casualties minimal. No city infrastructure targeted." Beside her, Ambassador Elena Voss's face was unreadable. "This was a message," Elena said. "Not just a strike, a warning." The council scrambled. Emergency sessions were convened, voices rising in alarm and disbelief. The Nalu Syndicate's ambassador was silent, his usual poise shattered. "They claim no knowledge," he stammered. This act violates every treaty." But no one believed him. The pirate fleet scattered, their leaders unsure if the attack was retaliation, preemptive strike, or something worse. On Tharkun's surface, survivors huddled in shadows, sharing stories of the night the sky fell silent. A child, no more than 10 cycles old, whispered in a trembling voice to her, "Mother, why do they punish us so?" The question hung unanswered. Back on Luna Station, Kira and Elena met in a private chamber. "We promised restraint," Kira said, voice heavy. "But this was necessary." Elena nodded slowly. "The galaxy thought we would cower behind diplomacy, forever. They thought humanity was polite because we were weak." Her eyes gleamed. "They forgot one thing. Politeness is a choice, and when we choose to drop it..." She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. "We become a force one forgets." Out at the edge of known space, where stars were faint and dark matter clouds swirled like ghosts, something new was stirring. The Janus fleet. Its arrival was subtle at first, unseen ships slipping silently through sensor nets, then fading into nothingness like shadows swallowed by night. Cloaked in advanced stealth technology, the fleet's vessels pulsed with an eerie black light that seemed almost unnatural. The galaxy's pirate syndicates, smugglers, and warlords whispered rumors of a new power, a force that appeared without warning and disappeared without a trace. Ships were found abandoned, their crews vanished or unresponsive. Cargo convoys vanished between waypoints, leaving behind only the cold silence of space. At a hidden outpost on the fringe, a captured pirate reeled under interrogation. The interrogator, A human intelligence officer leaned forward. Tell me again, what did they look like? The pirate's eyes were wild with fear. Machines, or worse, not like anything alive. Silent, unstoppable. They don't even shoot. They just erase you. The human officer exchanged a glance with Ambassador Elena Voss, who stood quietly beside him. Elena's eyes were sharp, reflecting years of hard lessons. They're not monsters, she said softly. They're us. Across the galaxy, the Janus fleet carried out surgical strikes with chilling efficiency. Pirate convoys, slave ships, and weapon caches disappeared overnight. When the fleet attacked, it was with precision and speed. No collateral damage, no warning salvo. Just a silent, unstoppable force striking where it hurt most. At the Galactic Council, alarm bells rang louder than ever. The representatives scrambled to understand what they faced. The Nalu Syndicate ambassador's voice trembled as he addressed the assembly. This fleet violates every treaty, every principle. It is an act of war, of aggression, but no one knew who commanded it. No flag flew from the Janus ships, no signal broadcast claimed responsibility. Behind closed doors, Elena Voss revealed the truth. The Janus fleet is humanity's answer, she declared. Built in secret, forged from the lessons of loss and betrayal. These ships are autonomous drones, stealthy, fast, precise. They don't tire, they don't hesitate. A stunned silence filled the chamber. This is our message to the galaxy. Humanity will no longer be silent. We will defend ourselves and our allies with every means necessary. Outside the council chambers, whispers spread like wildfire. Some hailed the Janus fleet as protectors, others as harbingers of a new, harsher era. Fear replaced the old dismissive attitude toward humanity. Diplomats who once looked down on the humans now eyed them warily, their polite facades slipping. At a hidden pirate enclave, a grizzled captain swore under his breath, staring at the flickering hollow feet of a Janus drone wiping out his convoy. They're ghosts, killers who don't even breathe. How do you fight something that doesn't exist? Meanwhile, in the far reaches of the outer spiral, a shadowy figure watched the rising storm with interest. Polite mode off, the figure muttered, voice dripping with cold amusement. Now the real game begins. The Galactic Council chamber, once a sanctuary of diplomatic decorum, had become a powder keg ready to explode. Ambassador Elena Voss returned to the podium, her presence commanding a room crackling with tension. The aftermath of the Janus fleet's swift surgical strikes had shattered the old order. Trust was broken, alliances frayed, and beneath the polished surfaces, suspicion festered like a wound left to rot. The galaxy is unraveling, Voss said quietly, yet every word cut through the murmur like a blade. Because for too long, corruption and complacency have ruled. She held up a hollow projector, casting detailed evidence across the chamber, intercepted communications, financial ledgers, covert shipments traced directly to the Nalu Syndicate. Our investigations confirm what many suspected. Parts of this, Council turned a blind eye to the Syndicate's piracy and terror. Some even profited. The room gasped. The Syndicate's representative, usually serene, almost untouchable, stared, his composure cracking. Voss's gaze locked on his. You denied involvement in Leuten 4, but the truth is undeniable. Your agents attacked our colony, and the Council did nothing. A ripple of outrage swept the chamber. Old alliances broke apart as species previously loyal to the Syndicate began to question their allegiance. Others, wary of humanity's rising power, whispered behind closed doors, fearing the consequences of a new galactic order. The council speaker, the crystalline Korlath, shimmered with unease. Ambassador Voss, accusations of this gravity require proof. We cannot dismantle peace on rumors alone. Voss nodded. I understand. That is why we bring not rumors but facts, and why humanity will no longer tolerate silence. As tensions boiled over, a delegation of elder diplomats requested a closed session. In the shadowed antechamber, Voss confronted whispers of betrayal. Some fear change, she said. but the galaxy's old ways failed us all. Suddenly, a comm alert pierced the room. Ambassador Voss, security breach, the aide whispered urgently. An assassination attempt just now in the council precincts. The room erupted. Voss barely had time to react before a figure lunged from the crowd, a concealed blade flashing. Security forces moved instantly, subduing the attacker, but the shock lingered. The assailant's mask fell away, a human face twisted with fury and desperation. Voss stared, heart pounding. This was no random act. It was a fracture within humanity itself. "Who sent you?" she demanded. The attacker spat. "You sold us out. You made deals with those who would see us dead." Security dragged the assailant away as Voss's mind raced. She realized the cost of their rising power wasn't just external. It tore through humanity's own ranks. Back in the chamber, Voss stood before the council again, her voice steeled by resolve. The threat is not only from outside. Corruption and fear infect even our own. But this moment, marks a turning point. She raised her hand, the chamber falling silent. We propose the Accord of Consequence, a new treaty enforcing transparency, accountability, and shared defense. No species, no faction, will be above the law. Whispers turned to murmurs. Some hailed the proposal as a beacon of hope. Others saw it as humanity's iron grip tightening. As votes were cast, the council's fate hung in balance. The galaxy watched, waiting to see if the old order would crumble, or be reforged in fire. The corridors of the Galactic Council headquarters, usually humming with quiet diplomacy, now thrummed with suspicion and paranoia. Whispers followed Ambassador Elena Voss like shadows. No one trusted anyone anymore, least of all their own allies. Elena sat alone in her quarters, eyes fixed on the hollow display of the assailant captured weeks ago. The man's face was etched with bitterness, a grim reminder that humanity's fractures ran deeper than any external threat. Her comm beeped. It was Admiral Kira Salim. "We've uncovered something." Kira's voice was sharp. The attacker wasn't acting alone. There's a faction within Earth's military, calling themselves the Silent Hand. They oppose the Janus fleet, believe it makes humanity as ruthless as its enemies. Elena sighed. "Traitors in our midst. How many?" "Unknown. But they're well organized, well funded, and they've started sabotaging our operations." The weight of betrayal settled heavy on Elena's shoulders. That night, she met Kira, in a secure war room deep beneath Luna Station. Around them, holomaps flickered with the latest intelligence, compromised supply lines, failed drone deployments, encrypted communications traced back to shadowy cells. "We're fighting wars on two fronts now," Kira said grimly, "outside the galaxy and inside ourselves." Elena nodded. "And both threaten to destroy everything we've built." A sudden alert flashed, an intrusion detected in a nearby supply depot. The two raced to the scene, joined by a squad of loyalists. The depot's perimeter was breached, alarms blaring into the cold night. Inside, chaos. Explosions rocked the facility as saboteurs planted charges designed to cripple the Janus fleet's support infrastructure. Gunfire echoed through the corridors. Kira's team engaged, catching the saboteurs off guard. In the firefight, Elena spotted a familiar emblem on one attacker's uniform, a symbol linked to a high-ranking military officer she had once trusted. "How deep does this go?" she whispered. The battle was fierce but brief. The saboteurs fled before reinforcements arrived, leaving behind destruction and questions. Back at Luna Station, Elena convened a crisis meeting. The council's representatives watched tensely as she laid out the evidence. "This is more than sabotage," she warned. "It's an insurrection against humanity's future." Some councilors gasped, others exchanged uneasy glances. "You ask why humans would turn against their own?" Elena continued. "Because for some, polite mode off is a line crossed. They fear we've lost our soul in the fight for survival." A low murmur ran through the chamber. Ambassador Duren of the Avark, known for his cold pragmatism, spoke up. Perhaps they are right. Humanity's methods are harsh. The Janus fleet operates without mercy. Elena's eyes flared. Without mercy, yes, but with purpose. We protect our people and our values. Unlike our enemies, we do not kill indiscriminately. Duren shrugged. Yet the galaxy will judge us not by our words but by our actions. The debate spiraled into chaos, fracturing what remained of the Council's fragile unity. That night, Elena stood on the observation deck of Luna Station, staring out at the stars, the silent witnesses to humanity's trials. Behind her, Kira approached quietly. What now? Elena turned, resolve hardening her features. Now, we root out the traitors. We show the galaxy that humanity's strength is not just in our weapons but in our will to survive and unify. Kira nodded. Then let's get to work. As the station's lights dimmed and the stars burned cold and distant, the war within, humanity had only just begun. The final vote had come and gone, but the Galactic Council's halls still echoed with uncertainty. The accord of consequence had passed by the narrowest margin, reshaping the galaxy's fragile balance of power. Yet even as laws were written and treaties signed, the true battle had shifted to a more personal battlefield, one fought in shadows, choices, and unyielding resolve. Ambassador Elena Voss stood before a panoramic viewport aboard Luna Station, her eyes tracing the shimmering stars. The calm exterior she once wore had hardened into steel. The price of survival had been steep, but humanity had finally sent its message loud and clear. Polite mode. Off, she whispered, almost to herself. Behind her, Admiral Kira Salim entered, her face grim but resolute. It's done, Kira said. The Janus fleet has crippled the Syndicate's remaining strongholds. The Silent Hand was dismantled last week. Earth's military stands united. Elena nodded. Good. But it's not just about victory. It's about what comes next. They shared a look, one forged in years of struggle and sacrifice. Across the galaxy, remnants of the Nalu Syndicate's forces had scattered, their once feared fleets reduced to ghost stories. The pirates who had once terrorized human colonies now faced the cold reality of humanity's wrath, a wrath sharpened by loss, tempered by purpose. At the Council's final emergency session, the Syndicate's ambassador was forced to concede defeat. His once confident posture crumbled as evidence and truth overwhelmed his lies. Perhaps, he said quietly, we underestimated humanity. Elena's response was clear. They did, and they paid the price. Yet victory was bittersweet. The colonies lost, the lives shattered, the alliances broken. All lingered like scars beneath the surface. But humanity was changed. Where once they had bowed to diplomacy and caution, now they stood tall, unyielding. Polite no longer meant passive. Polite no longer meant submission. In a quiet ceremony on Earth's capital, leaders from across the colonies gathered to honor those lost on Luyten 4 and beyond. The memorial was simple, names etched into stone, a testament to resilience and remembrance. Elena spoke softly to the crowd, her voice steady. We are not defined by our suffering, but by our response to it. We chose to stand, to fight, to protect, to never forget. The crowd was silent, united in grief and pride. Back aboard Luna Station, as the stars gleamed in cold witness, Elena and Kira stood together once more. What now? Kira asked. Elena smiled, a rare lightness in her eyes. We build, we protect, we ensure the galaxy remembers what happens when humanity's polite mode is off. Kira chuckled softly. And when it's permanently off? Elena's gaze hardened. Then they will never forget. Because we won't stop. Not now. Not ever. The stars outside seemed to flicker in silent agreement. The galaxy had changed forever. Humanity's polite mode was off, and this time, it was permanent.